There are things about attraction that most people never talk about openly, not because they're impossible to understand, but because once you truly understand them, something shifts. You stop chasing approval, you stop feeling confused, and you begin to see relationships from a completely different perspective. Many men are taught that being constantly available is the key to winning someone's heart. Reply instantly. Always be around. Make her the center of your entire universe. It sounds romantic on paper, but reality tends to work differently. When someone becomes your entire world, you slowly lose the very thing that made you interesting to them in the first place: your mystery. Attraction needs room to breathe. It needs two people who each have their own goals, their own passions, their own sense of purpose. A man who has direction in his life naturally becomes more attractive. Not because he's trying to be, but because his happiness doesn't hinge entirely on another person's mood or attention. This doesn't mean becoming distant. It doesn't mean playing games or pretending not to care. It simply means remembering that your life still matters too. Your ambitions still matter. Your growth still matters. And when your life carries meaning beyond the relationship, your presence inside that relationship becomes more valuable, not less. Here's another truth many men misunderstand completely. What happens the moment things get difficult? Sometimes there are disagreements. Sometimes emotions run high. Sometimes someone seems distant, quiet, or hard to read. And in those moments, most men panic. They overthink every text. They seek constant reassurance. They scramble to fix everything immediately, as if silence itself were an emergency. But pressure reveals character. Anyone can look confident when everything is calm and easy. The real question is who you become when things get uncomfortable. A man who stays grounded during difficult moments communicates something powerful, and he doesn't even have to say a word to do it. He doesn't lose control of himself. He doesn't beg for reassurance. He doesn't react emotionally to every small problem that comes up. He simply stays steady. And emotional stability builds trust, because deep down, people are drawn toward those who bring peace into a room, not chaos. There's another lesson many men learn far too late in life. Constantly agreeing with everything doesn't create attraction. In fact, it often does the opposite. Sacrificing your own opinions, your own values, your own preferences over and over in the name of being easygoing tends to quietly erode respect rather than build it. Kindness matters. Respect matters. But so do boundaries. A man who can respectfully say no is demonstrating something important: self-respect. He's showing that he has actual principles, that he isn't governed by a fear of rejection or a desperate need to keep everyone happy at his own expense. And people naturally respect those who respect themselves first. Without boundaries, resentment slowly creeps in and quietly replaces admiration. And once admiration is gone, most relationships struggle to survive for very long. But perhaps the biggest misunderstanding of all is the belief that attraction begins and ends with physical appearance. Looks can catch someone's attention, success can impress people at a glance, but neither of those things on their own creates real emotional attachment. What people actually remember are emotions. They remember how someone made them feel during the hard moments, not just the easy ones. They remember laughter. They remember feeling truly understood. They remember feeling safe, excited, appreciated. Years later, most of the small details fade completely, but the emotions almost always remain. That's exactly why confidence matters so much. Not the loud kind that constantly performs for an audience, but the quiet kind. The kind that comes from actually knowing who you are. The kind of confidence that never needs to prove itself to anyone, because it was never seeking permission in the first place. And there's one final truth that many relationships end up teaching people the hard way. Effort doesn't stop the moment someone chooses you. Too many people get comfortable once they've won someone over. They stop growing. They stop working on themselves. They stop bringing energy and curiosity into the relationship, assuming it will simply run on autopilot from here. And slowly, the excitement starts to fade, not because the love disappeared overnight, but because the growth did. Strong relationships are built by people who keep evolving, together and individually. People who keep challenging themselves. People who never quite stop becoming a slightly better version of who they were yesterday. Because attraction was never something you win once and keep forever, like a trophy on a shelf. It's something that continues to grow, as long as two people keep bringing purpose, curiosity, and genuine energy into each other's lives. And maybe that's the truth almost nobody says out loud. You don't become attractive by desperately holding on to someone, gripping tighter out of fear of losing them. You become attractive by building a life so meaningful, so balanced, and so genuinely fulfilling that your value simply speaks for itself without needing to be announced. Because real confidence was never something that chases, it simply exists.